So here I am once again after a 2 week break with a double review of Boku no Hero Academia Season 2 with episodes 13 and 14. So to start with episode 13, not much really happened except that we have our class 1A. Since they did such an amazing job during the sports festival, they were given a chance to not only make their own hero names, which was actually supposed to be offered to them during their second and third years, but also to do internships. So those stuff don't really start till they are second years, but like I said, because they did an outstanding job during the sports festival, it was actually offered to them during their first year. So we have many of the characters in Deku's class make up their own hero names, either based on their characteristics, what they based on their quirks, or whatever the case may be. The most surprising thing out of those who made their names was Deku, because we all know he never liked that nickname in the first place because it was used to ridicule him. But because of Uraraka's positive influence on him and how she said that in a sense it also means you can do it, he decided he wanted that as his pro hero name from now on. I wouldn't be surprised if when we do get to see him, much more mature and wiser, and he has complete control of his power, that is still his hero name to that time. And also for the fact that we know with Ida right now, this guy, no matter what you say or how you try to convince him, he's going out for blood. He's going out for revenge after everything that went down with Stain and his brother, and how it left him basically with no future. He is no longer able to be a hero because how he explained it, Ida's older brother, Stain did so much damage to his legs. He said he could not feel his legs no more, so he must have ripped out those injuries. Who knows what he could have done, but his days as a hero is no longer. So he's no longer a pro hero, and to see the person who he admired from since a young age, the person that made him want to go to UA to become a hero, it must be really devastating for Ida. And to see that he goes from this very positive but very stern person to someone who does a 180, and you see the distant look in his eyes, like his eyes are just turning black, shows that this is serious business, and we are actually, Boku no Hero Academia is no longer child's play. We're getting into some serious stuff. We're getting into the action now, the actual action into this series. Another thing that was surprising in episode 13 before I get into episode 14 was when they were going to choose agencies, pro hero agencies, to do their internships for Todoroki. Since he did outstanding during the sports festival and he was number one for the most recommended amongst those who wanted to draft him once he graduates from UA Academy, he could have chose anybody. He really could, but he chose his father's Endeavor's agency to learn what it's like to be a pro hero, the steps of it. So that adds on to his character, because he could have done the childish thing and chose someone else because how much he despises his dad, and he doesn't walk down the same path as his father, but he chose him at the end of the day. So that says a lot about his character and the development that he is going through. So episode 14, we get into some funny stuff because the character that was introduced, Gran Torino, I love this old man already. Like the way he introduced himself as someone who died when Deku first went to meet him for his internship. He was also the same person who was All Might's teacher when he used to teach at UA. He only taught for 1 year, but he taught enough for All Might to even use some of his phrases and mannerisms even to this day, as he himself is a teacher at the academy, and the person who also was best of friends with the predecessor before All Might for One for All, so he knows everything about One for All and how the procedures and everything about it, and he knows about the condition that All Might is in. So for the fact that he wanted Deku to do his internship with him, I think that was the best choice, because Deku needs to learn how to properly use One for All, because time is ticking and All Might doesn't have very much long until he possibly loses all power, or the way they're presenting it, he could die. There is a possibility that All Might can die and, you know, lose One for All as it is. So Gran Torino, how he introduced himself was the most hilarious, because he presents himself as someone that was lying in his own puddle of blood with his intestines hanging out, just to show that it's actually ketchup and sausages on the floor. So even though he acts funny and he tries to act stupid, he's actually a very serious person, and he tells Deku that how you're using One for All, you're subconsciously shackling yourself because of your admiration for All Might. So that's why he's not able to use it, and also for the fact how he is using it is actually wrong. So the name One for All, I don't think I even consider it, but the name in itself is self-explanatory. How Deku uses it is he imagines like the boiled egg not breaking in the microwave, and then he unleashes the power to one part of his body so he can do a certain task. Like if he says he wants to punch something with his fist, he sends all the strength into his hand, hence why he damages his hand or any part of his body. But how One for All is supposed to be actually used is that the power is supposed to go throughout from head to toe. So all this time Deku was only thinking of using the power for one part of his body, when he's supposed to be able to use it throughout the entirety of his body. And seeing as how All Might moves and how Gran Torino moves, because his quirk is jet, so he has like little holes that's able to push out air, and then he can move all about like crazy fast, and the faster he moves, the harder the hits become despite his old age. So once Deku sees those two, he tries to envision himself trying to jump. Of course it proves to be hard, but what really helps him gain a better grasp on how to use One for All is the taiyaki, the fish cake with like the type of chocolate sauce that's inside of it, or a strawberry sauce, depending on what you like best. When he put it into the microwave and only the plate was hot, the food itself wasn't, he realized that that's how One for All is supposed to work. Because when you put food in a microwave and they have the dish that moves around, it's so that it can properly heat the entirety of the food, so the heat circulates around so that everything heats up. Therefore not only one part gets the heat, but the plate and the food gets the heat. So once the heat or the power circulates properly throughout the body, then he's able to properly use it, even if it's only about 5%. So now that Deku is able to properly envision that, now we're going to start seeing him actually use it. From just that visual that he saw with the microwave and the taiyaki in it, he's able to know that yes, One for All is something that's not only used for one part of the body, but to be used for all of it. And then like the way how he powered up with the static that's just coming off his body, I was like, yo, this looks so godly right now. Like if I see Deku even using 5% of One for All, do you know that's going to be such a huge step up for him, versus all the other times where he's only able to use it for one portion of his body. But if he can use it throughout his entire body, and it kind of gave like a little spoiler in the new opening that's done by Amazarashi, which is an amazing opening, might I add. They're the same ones that did the Tokyo Ghoul 8 ending, for those who don't know. So it kind of gave us spoilers, seeing as how he's able to use the power there. We're going to see how he's going to train within this 1 week with Gran Torino, how he's going to utilize that power now in the proper sense. So I'm really glad that Gran Torino is a person that wanted to do the internship with Deku, and that he's going to be the one to actually give him the proper guidance that he has been seeking for such a long time, and hopefully within a short period of time. And then we're going to get into the action with Stain possibly by next week episode or the following episode. I'm thinking of doing a live reaction, but I have to see how the episode goes before I decide to do one by the episode preview. So if you saw these 2 episodes, do tell me in the comment section below on how you felt about both of them, and are you guys ready for Stain the Hero Killer arc? If you are a manga reader, I know you've been waiting for this arc for quite some time, so I want to hear your comments down below on what your anticipation is for it. The links are in the description box as always, and I'm Kimmy Chan of Anime Legends Podcast, and I will see you guys later. Bye.